Odd 2020, and we are getting close to closing out the year, and we're going to get started today on a topic that I thought would be perfect, and it's going to start with diversity and inclusion. So we are also going to be speaking on the perception gap and inclusivity, and we're going to talk about gratitude and mindfulness. We're going to go over some research and data that's going to illustrate really the impact of being grateful on the human brain. And we'll talk about how and why that's important as a leader, and how and why that's important for your business. So I see we've got somebody in the chat. Let's say hello. Oh, hi, Annette. Asking about what happened to everybody else. I don't know. They're coming or they listen to the recording. Right now, I think there's about 100 people that listen in when we're not here. And then there's people that are able to listen also through other channels, but they don't get to actually engage with us. So, how was your week? I don't know if we're going to have a mic for you today. Uh-oh. Okay. So, the perspective of today, the discussion that we're going to have, the topic that I'm going to lecture on, all comes from the world of gratitude. And I don't want you to get bogged down in it's always important to be grateful and what we hear all the time, gratitude, 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 and the attitude of gratitude is going to make your life. I'm not dismissing any of that, but I don't want your brain to follow in that river of ads and post-it notes and motivational speeches. I want you to think about gratitude today from the term of action, because it's going to influence maybe where you get a job, or it's going to influence how you get a job, or maybe how you communicate with people. And I know that your interest is maybe, or your superpower is handling conflict. Being able to master gratitude, and the next step would be emotional intelligence, will transform how you deal with people and really just make you that much more effective. So we're going to talk about how having emotional intelligence with gratitude and mindfulness is really a way to just create the most amazing team or network around you. So, all right, I see you're working on the mic. So in the meantime, I want to start today's discussion with a story. So, I see you got a headache. I got an itchy throat today, and we're just starting. Got to sip up for this one, because this is going to be one of those stories that you would tell people to go listen to. It's not my story. It's a story about perspective. It's a story about being aware. It's a story about being self-aware. Purpose. And it starts with, so now I do want to give credit where credit's due. This is a Stephen Covey story. He's written many books. And of the numerous things that bounce around my head that he's spoken or that he's written, this particular story is huge for me. And we'll share it. So I want you to picture you're in Publix, or if you live out west or up north, maybe you don't have Publix, you've got a Kroger, but you've got some kind of convenience store. Maybe it's a Walmart or a Costco. It doesn't matter. And you had to run into, say, convenience store, or not you, but this guy has to run into convenience store just to grab one thing. And he shoots over to the aisle where if you have less than 10 items, you go to because they'll get you through quicker. And he's running and he's running and he grabs his stuff and he goes up to the aisle to, it's only supposed to be 10 people. And there's 3 people in front of him. Each one of them have just a couple of items. And then there's an older woman who has like 14 items. And she's going through her stuff at the cash register real slow. I'm going to take this one and I'm going to take this. Okay. And then the cashier's taking it, doing her thing. Time to pay. She's got like 18 items. She goes into her pocketbook and starts to rumble around to find her check. She pulls out the checkbook finally. She lays it out, asks the cashier, how much does it? At this point, the guy that just had the one thing is now standing in line and he's impatient. And he's heavy breathing, angry, anxious. Doesn't understand why she came to the line in the first place because you're only supposed to have 10. Doesn't understand why nobody said anything to her. Doesn't understand why she didn't already have her check out. She knew it was coming, and he's getting hot. And she's not speeding up because it's not like she's being slow on purpose. And he's stomping his feet, and she writes out. I get his frustration a little bit. I mean, who uses checks anymore? She writes it out. She gets her stuff. She leaves. Cashier takes the next person and the next person, and then this guy's turn. And right as he gets up to the register, she gets a phone call. And she answers it. And the customer, who's waiting to check out still, is pissed. And all he hears is, oh, hey, it's so nice to hear you. Hi, sweetheart. I've missed you. I can't wait to see you when I get home. What are we doing for dinner? My day is fine. How's your day? And they're like chit-chatting back and forth. And the customer's about to blow a gasket. She says, I love you. I can't wait to see you when I get home, and hangs up. Now the guy's overheated and starts to come off at the cashier. And this and that and 10 products and how your job and you know how people get. And he's blowing a gasket. And calmly the cashier says to the guy, I'm sorry, but that was my grandfather. And he has Alzheimer's. And he remembers me today. The guy sinks in. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to freak out on you. Oh my God. Takes his stuff, all sunken head. Mopey Eeyore like, okay. I'm starting our discussion, our class, our lecture, our afternoon together like this on purpose. 1, because we all need a little gratitude in our life. 2, because we all need a little bit more gratitude in our life. 3, because while we celebrate differences in people, we need to include them. Not just what we're doing, but include what they might be going through in how we treat and approach them. This is important in your business. This is important in your personal life. This is important on the street. This is important at Publix. Because while we want to scream at this dude and tell him you should have had some patience, you shoulda. We've all been there. Maybe not the one to curse somebody out. Maybe that's not us. Maybe it is you. But we've had the mindset of just being stressed. We've thought about, oh, why not? What are they doing that for? How rude. They don't think about anyone else. They're not mindful. They can't be grateful, because if they were grateful for the things that are around them, they wouldn't be so rude. Well, maybe they have a reason. And if you knew the reason, would you treat them different? Because it's highly likely that the guy who lost his patience also will remember how bad he feels, or how bad he felt in that moment, for a lot longer than he'll remember why he was in a rush. Now, to flip the story around a little bit, maybe he had a reason to rush. Do you give him an out? Are there circumstances where you're okay with how he is, how he's reacting to things? Because there are certain parameters that you give people, right? When I was going through my stuff with my son's transplant, the cancer, I wasn't in the best of moods all the time. Be a little sassy, a little hormonal, a little angry at the world, a little angry at the process, at the journey. And of course, when you're angry at the journey while you're going through it, that's what you communicate. But knowing that I was going through something meant that, okay, we'll give Joel a little space. You would let that lady, the cashier, take 2 hours if she needed to, if you knew that that was the phone call she was on. And what's this have to do with diversity and inclusion? What's this have to do with mindfulness? What's this have to do with emotional intelligence? Well, because it starts with the moment you get to the cashier. Because your emotional intelligence is going to give you patience. Your emotional intelligence is going to give you some pause. Your emotional intelligence is going to take you looking past what people look like, who they fall in love with, who they want to have sex with, where they live, or where they're from, to guess what? Are you the best person to enhance my life? Are you the best person to enhance my network? Are you the best person that's going to handle the jobs and tasks? Do you have the knowledge and the skills and the abilities to do what you need to? Because that's what I want to be grateful for. Not to dismiss how diverse you are, but I want to be grateful for the substance in you, the who you're made of. I've grown up in South Florida, so diversity to me is not new. But I can see firsthand that while we celebrate people's differences, we have failed to actually engage and include. From an organizational perspective, the data demonstrates that. In 2020, all you have to do is look at politics. Doesn't matter who you want. Doesn't matter. Because right now, the one thing that everybody can agree on is that we are split in half, and we are not any more likely to engage and include each other today than we were yesterday. And your life has to be built on processes and strategies and behaviors and decisions that make you the best you. This is the professional mindset. You are in a competition with 370 million people here and another 6 billion people there. That's the race. That's the game. That's the match. And the way you win, clean. When I say clean, I mean, this isn't a game to get over. This isn't a game to take advantage. This isn't a game to bully. This is a game of a journey. This is a game of a process. This is a game of making you the best you. How do you win it? You add some skills. How do you master it? You add some abilities. Those abilities, those skills that you can't master, that might not be in your wheelhouse, that might not be in your genius zone. Thank you, Kimberly Spencer at crimeyourself.com. When they're not in your genius zone, what do? You bring people into your network that are going to enhance that. And if there's a moment in you, if there's a feeling a kind of way in you, then when you're trying to hire people that look a little different than you, that act a little different than you, that dress a little different than you, that maybe love a little different than you, and you feel a kind of way about it, there's a really good chance that you are limiting your ability to be the best you. I'm not saying that you can't be successful. I'm not saying that you can't even find harmony. That's not the point here. But your job, your responsibility is to make you the best you, right? So you eat the healthiest possible. You try to sleep what you can. You try to exercise. You try to get that balance. We are social beings. We need people around us. We need a network. We need friends. We need family. It doesn't have to be blood family. And as you get older, you realize that. You need people that want you to be the best you. Anything else is an anchor. From an empowerment standpoint, from you going to get your business running, from you going to hire the right people, you want diversity of thought. That's how you want to look at people. How do they think different? Are they creative? Are they eager to learn? Are you eager to learn? Has your culture, has your background limited what you see? This isn't a black, white, brown, yellow thing. This is a people and differences. And that's real. They put kindergartners in school. We remember being in the first kindergarten. We all get into lunch together. We sit by people that are like us. But as we get older, we realize the more enriched our lives are, the more friends we have and the more differences that those friends have, the more fun and social capacities we get. In your business, it's no different because your business is built on relationships, right? And your business is going to run effectively because you've established amazing teams. And those teams are put together. You wouldn't put a team together of all the same people. You put a team together of different people, different skills, knowledges and abilities and capacities. But your job as a leader is to take all of that in a team with some mindfulness and some self-awareness and some patience and some self-control, also known as emotional intelligence. And you achieve a common goal. And that's what this conversation is going to be like today. That's where we're going with this. And we're going to talk business and emotion, and we're going to get deep, and that's the start. Annette, you get that mic working yet? You ready to say hello?
Hello. How are you? Can you hear me? I'm off mute. Can't
Looks like
hear
it's
me?
going to be one of those days. Friday the 13th, 2020. Whatever's happening today is happening today. I can't hear you. At least your mic check. You're off mute. I got you off the mute. I can't hear you though.
Why would you not be able to hear me? Can you hear me now? Don't know.
I don't know. can see you trying to switch to you. Oh, I see your face. We're not going to see the rub it
No,
down.
not yet. Can you hear me now?
I like to laugh every day. I'm doing that.
You can't hear me? Oh, it's terrible.
Boo. Wish you could send me Morse code.
Don't know why. Share content. I can hear you though.
All right. I don't know. You can hear me though. Sweet. All right. Well, let's do this. So, you want to talk. That's funny. Let's see. So I wonder.
Why would
Try
you
a little
not be
something on
able
my
to
side.
hear me? Okay.
Pardon me, everybody, while we try some technical difficulties, see if we can get some sound.
Mute. Why?
What about now, Annette? Can you say something?
Hello. Hello, 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 hello. I don't know. Share.
All right.
Google website.
See if I am unmute you, and then I'm gonna unmute you. See if that works. Okay. I love it that you want to talk. It's like I put you in timeout, but I didn't put you in timeout.
I don't know why you can't hear.
And it's interesting because
You
Zoom is
see me?
catching you. And because it goes to your screen when you try to talk.
Oh, maybe it's my phone. Let me unplug it. Let me see.
Not muted.
Unmuted. I'm unmuted. Video.
Let's see. You're
Stop
talking.
video. Share content. Look. Zoom. Enhance.
What about now? Now try to say something.
Hello. Hello, hello.
That's my last
You
good
there?
idea.
You there? No?
It's not a good idea. Sorry. Okay.
Okay, well.
Mic check. All right.
I can hear you so clearly.
We'll try again a little bit.
Okay.
Get back to it. So I would be remiss if we had a conversation about diversity and inclusion and didn't discuss the political atmosphere at all. One of the fascinating things about running the Zoom session is you can't get all hot and bothered and excited in this conversation, which is important because I want you to look at this with a professional mindset. This isn't about either political party. This conversation's not about having too many white people or too many black people inside your organization. This is about bringing in the absolute best candidate possible. Even the word candidate now has become a little toxic, right? Because if you're on one side or another, you don't want to hear that. But if I'm talking to you about an applicant, the best candidate you can find, you want that. If we're talking about somebody in your relationship, you want that, the best candidate, don't you? So why are we talking about that? Well, of course, because the candidate or the applicant or the potential or the opportunity all have to make you better. None of this can start without you knowing what makes you happy, you knowing the difference between your wants and your needs. But we get them confused because as we grow up in society, it tends to blur them. But society doesn't only blur that. Society and the way we talk and the way we think, our conscious and unconscious bias, also influence how we see and treat other people. Now, for those of you that are snapping back, this isn't an excuse for the racist. I don't give excuses to people full of hate. This is for the little things that we do. How many of you have been inside a meeting and it start with, hey guys, welcome guys. Could be full of women. Hey guys, want to come with me? And then I know you're trying to talk. I can see you coming up.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? What's wrong with this?
Maybe if you log out and come back in.
Okay, I'll try it.
I'll be here. So you should be all right on my side. So we have these unconscious little quirks about how we see people. Of course, there's the jokes that people think don't hurt. And I say that with some hesitancy because I have a crazy sense of humor and I got jokes about just about everything. But I understand when telling the joke that the joke is about a stereotype. The stereotypes are the heart of limiting your ability to see beyond what somebody looks like, limiting your ability to engage in what the real depth of people are. But what about from a more vague standpoint, males and females? Boys like to play in the dirt, girls aren't strong. Males shouldn't be nurses. It's like a big thing when a female becomes a CEO. While it should be celebrated because there's not a lot, it shouldn't be a big deal because it shouldn't be a surprise that women are smart. That men are the alpha. Men are the provider. These are stereotypes. My wife lives in one. She's a firefighter. Still to this day, there'll be people that meet us and say to her, wow, I didn't know women could be firefighters. And she's strong. She's an iron woman. I mean, like, doesn't fit the idea of what a woman should be. Because when you put in your head what something should be, when you fit a perspective, when you put a view of someone in front of you, and that's how you behave, you are going to limit how effective you are if you are just looking at their gender and their skin color. And I can tell you that I'm really excited to get past this part soon in the conversation because it is 2020 and we're still talking about people being treated differently because of their color, people being treated differently because of their gender. That's a social failure. The fact that there's a difference in the amount of money that people get paid for the same job based on where they're from or how they look or their gender. their sexual preference or their sexual identity. What are we doing? Because the game is to be the best you. The game is to have the largest echo possible. You need to do that by being the most competitive, and the most successful have people around them with shared visions and shared goals. They build teams. They're grateful for each other's skills. Oh, there's that word, grateful. They're grateful for each other's skills. They're grateful for what each other does for each other. Oh, that sounds like a relationship. Oh, I think we've discussed that no successful business is built without effective relationships. Your life needs to be built off successful, healthy relationships, or you're not going to be as successful as you can be. What you don't hear people say is, no, I don't want someone to share all the success with. No. What you don't hear C-suite leaders saying, C-suite leaders are CEOs, CFOs, COOs. You know what they don't say is, no, I don't need anybody to succeed. You know what Fortune 500 companies have in their organization is diversity. You know what they don't do anymore is focus on diversity. What they do is focus on inclusion. They focus on the needs. How do we meet the needs? Doesn't matter what or where or who, what's best to meet the needs is what you go for. It's where you put your energy. It's where you allocate resources. It's where you make the best you. Pardon me for a second. I got somebody coming into the Zoom. Coming in. All right, Yarmy, let's try it. Is that you, Annette?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Oh no. No. What's happening?
Oh, we're getting close. I don't know.
I don't know. Start video.
All right.
Homer.
So you can still hear me okay, right? Oh, there, I see the screen. I see the roof. I see the laugh.
I hear you.
I see us trying to talk to you. All right. But you can hear me okay, right? If you can't hear me, go ahead and type something. So what about the little shades of stereotypes in things like the handshake? My wife works at the fire department, so we're always laughing. Like, how do you shake hands with people? Like when I see my boy, well, not now that COVID's here, it's just weird. You know what I mean? Like say, hey, what's up? Yeah, chicken arm. Like I'm throwing the handshake at you. Hey. It used to be embrace. I'm the aggressive hugger. When I see you, what's up? Psh, hugging. Have a good day. I want you to feel it. I'm trying to zap you with some energy. not post-COVID or during COVID or what. But the handshake perspective, the handshake dynamic is rooted in male dominance. And that's not a right or wrong thing for me. My understanding of the actual handshake comes from Roman times. They carry a sword in their right hand, put it down to greet. There's your hello. when she shakes somebody's hand, says hello, because she's looking to get through that stuff. She's had to fight through stereotypes her whole life. Being in a male-dominated atmosphere, that's just what happens as a female firefighter. So when she shakes somebody's hands, they know. And they often say something. Oh, wow, good handshake. I'm not saying any of these things are right or wrong, although they are wrong. When I walk into a room full of people now, I do what I can to refrain from saying things like, hey, guys. Although when I'm making a joke about it, then it's, Joel's got jokes, so that's what we do. What about simple things as men being brave and females being nice? Or if men are really nice, they're considered feminine. Because in 2020, you want the balance, right? You can remain an alpha, but have a soft side. You can remain assertive and goal-oriented and driven, still be sensitive.
Yes.
But let's take it to an atmosphere of different cultures. In Japan, it's customary during a presentation for people to close their eyes. In my classroom, if you close your eyes, I'm going to be giving you the lecture in your ear. Maybe whispering. I'm going to have some jokes for you, though, but I'm going to wake you up. Cultural differences. Some countries put your feet on the desk and show your bottom of your foot to somebody, and you dishonor them. Take a picture of certain cultures. They consider it stealing their soul. This isn't about whether that's real or not. This is about awareness. Because if you're going to take the step from diversity initiatives to inclusivity, you're going to have to be aware of that. What about eye contact? Down here in South Florida, you have to understand cultural differences. If you do not understand cultural differences, you're not going to be able to communicate. In Miami, there are different communities. There are different Spanish communities. There's Cuban. There's Dominican. There's also Haitian communities and Jamaican communities, and obviously white communities and Jewish communities. And there's places where a lot of Middle Eastern people live. People from the Middle East, when they talk to you, they're a little closer. Handwork. Spanish people, Cubans, they're going, if you mute them having a conversation, it looks like, oh, they're ready to fight. Some cultures get loud. Some cultures seem aggressive. You don't want to stifle somebody's creativity inside your workforce. You don't want to stifle somebody's excitement and energy around your team and your network because you react a kind of way to something they did. Not only do you want to, but in one of the things in your life, you can't. And when you start to really embrace and grab and gain that professional mindset, the way you look at things becomes more strategic. The emotional intelligence isn't about stifling your emotions and burying your emotions. It's about how you use them. Still nothing in that, huh?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me right now?
So,
No?
and then it might be your internet. It's a lot of T's in that statement because I see in the bottom it's got a little but I don't know.
Mhm.
But if you do have questions, and while I'm running, if you don't want to type them, just write them down, and you can either send me a picture. You can take a picture of it and send it to me, or email it to me.
Okay.
Yeah, it
Can you
says
hear me
it's
now?
your network. So next little section here is fascinating to me because it's about the cultural differences of touching, not the creepy kind of touching, but you go to Europe, certain parts of Europe, you say hello, there's a kiss. That's my kiss on each side. If you weren't sure, I'm bobbing and weaving. In this country, we don't do that. In some cultures, you can hug. In some cultures, you can't. Some cultures, you greet the male differently than you do the female. You should know these things. This is our world. And if you're not sure, what's really cool is all you have to do is ask Siri, or all you have to do is ask Alexa, or hey, Google. And it'll give you ideas of what cultural differences are. But it's 2020. It shouldn't be foreign to you. It's 2020. You should be inclusive past that. Especially if you have a team made up of a bunch of different people, or you have a network of people and friends around you that all have their little quirks or different little cultural differences. Different little cultural differences. Probably could have reworded that. Oh, we got the phone out. See it.
Yes.
Oh, wait. What about different dialects? The dialect side is really fascinating to me because even in this country, in every corner of this country, we talk different. In the middle of it, we talk different. Even in Florida, the way we talk in South Florida, if I go up to the Panhandle, people, I think they have a Southern drawl. They think I've got some kind of South Florida accent. What's up, Annette? Let's try it.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? You cannot hear me.
Oh, we're close.
No. Can you hear me? No.
This is about the differences in people.
I don't know what happened.
This is about celebrating those differences. And why are we celebrating? Because they have skills, they have knowledge, they have abilities that are going to make your life better. Why would you not? Where's the logic in not celebrating that? What are you doing in your decision-making process where you get to that logical path and like, nah, I'm good. Not only would you then need a career coach at American Heritage College, also known as a plug, 15 minutes, come see us, free. Oh, got some bamboo up. I would ask you to think about, I would ask you if we could talk more. I would ask you to think about, though, what about the writing? Is that as important today as it was? The tone of someone's letter? Are people writing you letters anymore? Not so much, but people are writing emails. People are sending texts. And not only do you need to know the difference in how people are communicating via text and via email and how they write, but you need to think about how they receive it. Someone's not sure about what you're talking about, and you throw some sarcastic tones in there, or you try to throw a joke, you're going to ruin it. I can tell you this from experience. Telling jokes is a superpower for me. Bringing humor is a superpower for me in the Make-A-Wish world. Around sick kids, I bring some humor, but every once in a while I'll throw that into a job interview or a really important meeting, and it sounds like someone dropped a lead basket on the table in front of us. Silence. You have to know the who and the how you're communicating to. You have to know when your jokes are appropriate. You have to know when to use the right tones. But in addition to that, what about shortness of words? What about generationally? Because right now we're talking about diversity and differences, including everyone from a status of culture, of love and physical looks and age. Age. I say age, not just old people or senior citizens, but what about every generation, X, Y, Z? By the time we're done, there's going to be a whole alphabet full of generations. Every one of them communicates different. 5 black women, 5 Chinese women, 5 white women, all different age groups are all going to communicate differently. They're going to have different values.
Yeah.
You want to be an effective team leader? You want to be a decent human being? Well, you embrace the skill sets around you. Why do you want people around you that are dragging you down? Why would you want someone around you that doesn't share your goals? Because you're celebrating diversity? Because you're not really celebrating diversity if you're not being inclusive. And if you're not being inclusive, then you're not really grateful. And if you're not really grateful, then you can't be mindful. And if you can't be mindful, then how do you have a professional mindset? The tone and the narrative and the writing. I have a boss who, when she emails or texts me, for some reason doesn't know how to use hello or hi or thank you or goodbye.
Oh, no.
So asking me to do a menial task that I do every day anyways, but hey, Joel, can you get to this for me real quick? It's just 3 words. I need this done. We have a team atmosphere, so I can call or I can discuss those things, and I do. I'm like, well, you don't know how to say hi? Oh, I'm sorry, Joel. You know me. No, I know you. What? You know, I know you. That's not an excuse. No matter what stage we are in our life, no matter what place we are in the journey, no matter where we're at on our career path, the professional mindset continues to develop, continues to grow, continues to change, because we do. You're not going to be the same person next week, let alone in 2, 3, 4, 5 years. So your mindset's going to be different. Your values, your needs going to be different. So you can have the same employee for 20 years. They have to be treated differently. Not an easy leadership task, but a critical leadership competency. You need leaders like that. You need leaders that are inclusive. And it's not difficult. All you have to do is focus on needs. Needs. Should be a hot topic right now. All this chaos in our political world.
Deal.
There should be nothing more important than cohesion. Finding a way to it. As any adult will tell you who's been through some conflict, as my conflict resolution specialist can tell you, there's a way through it. But the only way through it is to share a common goal. And whatever that common goal is, it's leadership's job to market that. Whatever your common goal is with your family, with your group, your team, you communicate through that, through the needs of that. If the needs in your life are getting a good job, then those needs need to be filled by people who can help you get a better job. Not by people telling you to stay on the couch. Not by people telling you, yeah, you don't really need to change. Not by people telling you, you know what? It's risky if you go out and look for work. What if it doesn't work out? Not by some stupid little voice in your head, an inner child that's throwing all this self-doubt that you're not going to succeed either. That little child, that inner child in your head that's throwing that self-doubt needs to be mushed in the corner. While the confident inner child stands up and communicates that I can do this, that I want the best for those around me, that I want the best for me, that I want people around me in the most selfish way to make me the best me, because that's okay. And because it's okay, it starts to attract that. And because your mindset's always focused on that, you can begin to have a professional outlook on things, on any corner of your life. I'm going to share my screen with you. A little PowerPoint presentation for you. Take another sip of water. Seems to be a dry day. Pardon me, which is okay to have a dry day, because in South Florida right now, we had this tropical storm and it flooded everywhere.
Oh, no.
Now, in South Florida, we're a funny society. When a category 3 or 4 shows up, people are like, no worries, I'm just going to hang out and chill, not even putting the windows up. So a tropical storm showed up, people were like, yeah, whatever. Literally flooded out. So the fact there's some sunshine today, even the dog's like, I don't want to come inside right now, I'm chilling. That's a good idea. So to have a dry day, not so bad. I don't follow along the path. I don't know where we're going with that. So yeah, I'm not sure why I can't hear you either. Yeah, I'm looking to see if there's a setting in here that I can make or that I can adjust for you. Go ahead and talk.
Hi. Can you hear me now?
Hi. I can hear
You
you
hear
now.
me?
Yeah.
Yes. Good. Finally.
Ah,
Why?
what's up?
I know. I don't understand what happened with that.
I don't know either. It could be
Okay.
my fault, but I'm not sure. But I can hear
No,
you
I
now.
don't know.
It's
Okay,
like a
good.
Verizon commercial. Yes, there she is.
Okay, good. All right.
All right. So, what? I'm sure you had some things to say. You remember anything?
Yeah, I remember way back though in the beginning about the store.
Uh-huh.
So I don't want to, take up people's time with this, but I was thinking the conversation could have gone both ways, because the cashier probably knew the old lady, and if she saw the guy with one item, maybe she could have taken him. That's one.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing was, when she saw him probably folding his hands and squinching his face, she should have said, hey, I'm sorry, you know what, I'll get this done quick, or or something to relieve that. And then when the grandfather called, even though it was her Alzheimer's grandfather, she
Right.
should have put up her finger or something and told the guy, please, it's my granddad, or
Right.
something to let him know, it's important. And if I was the guy, I would have went straight to the manager. I don't care what I had to do. I
You are
would have complained to the manager. If she wouldn't have
funny.
done
You're the
any of those things
stomper.
that I described, I would have complained.
Yeah.
So that's my comments about
Hey,
that.
that's funny. I tell this story all the time. You're the first person to do that. I can't wait. So I'm gonna close out with a story like that too.
Oh,
That's funny. We'll see how it goes.
wait, what do you mean they didn't comment that the cashier would have made it was all about the person in line?
All of them.
Okay, so I saw both sides of that, and I'm like,
Yeah.
me, as emotional intelligence to me, as you're describing it,
Yep.
I would have tried to alleviate that, noticing, and me knowing myself, I would have been pissed too. It's like, really, a check? I got something to do. My dog's in the car.
Right.
I, seeing it, probably would have recognized it to that person to alleviate his stress.
Yep. So there's you can add to that too, right? Like, we don't know in the story if he was off somewhere, if his wife was at home with the sick kid, or he had to get to somewhere, right? That's awesome. Yeah, you almost make me want to tell the other story now.
I'm sorry.
No, it's awesome.
I don't want to be your difficult student.
No, you're not. And you said something a second ago about you don't want to take time. This time is yours.
Okay. Thank you.
Like genuinely, except for the first hour that the microphone stole from us. But yeah, it's yours. This is a discussion. You can, and as long as we're not spitting hate, talk about just about whatever you want.
Okay, good. No, I had thoughts. I was like dying over here going, God dang it, I can't
get it out. That's awesome. How frustrating. That'd be the worst for me. Like a muzzle, like, oh my God, there's things I want to say. Oh yeah. And like, I type with 10 thumbs anyways. Like, oh my God, I can't get it.
So I heard everything. I heard about the patients. I heard about the I wrote down about when you write to someone, it is important that you don't start it with caps and that you do say hello. And I hope you said, I thought you told the lady that just says, hey, do this. Hey, hello.
Yeah.
If people don't get it, they, oh, you know me. No.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Right. Like, you know me, this is how I've always done it. Oh, it's okay. Is, while it feels personal from the coaching standpoint, that's a human being resistant to change.
Yep.
And I said something to her and she was, oh, I'm sorry. I got a bunch of messages later that day. I apologized. Oh, thoughts totally written out. But then, later on in the week, things come up and there's a little bit of chaos. And I made a little mistake at work and she had to call me frustrated. And I knew it was the first time we spoke since that had happened. And it was like kind of my fault, kind of system fault, but no real place to blame. So there was frustration in the air. And that's when we get in trouble, right? Like, you communicate when you're frustrated, that's what you communicate. But she did good. She was very, very professional. Because when in doubt, just be professional. And at the very least, you're not going to communicate disrespect.
True.
Because that's when things get troublesome, right? The moment somebody feels disrespect, anything else they say, you're not hearing. Like, I don't care what you're telling me. If you raise your voice, it triggers something in my brain, and I don't hear it. I hear the words, but I don't hear the words. Right? So when my bosses and my leaders, I mean, I'm not a perfect dude. I make mistakes. They know in my personality that I'm not the guy to come scream at. So they want the best out of me because I'm trying to make the best out of their mission. They got to handle me right. And then they got to handle the guy next to me. Like at the school that I teach at, I teach at nighttime. There's a guy that teaches during the day, the opposite of me. He couldn't be more different. He's in his 50s, short Cuban guy, super fit. Teach you everything, everything's different. My boss has to manage both of us. And we have different personalities and we have different needs. My need is to not be micromanaged. The other teacher doesn't mind that part. He likes the connection in it. I want to be left alone. As a leader, you need to know that. And it's pretty simple to think about that from the business side, right? Well, when you think about that from your relationships around you, not just the intimate ones, moms, dads, sisters, brothers, all of it, it's the same. And it comes from a mindset. And if it's only about your needs, I'm not saying you can't want a big house, but when you see the big house in your dream, you have to figure out what it needs, what actions it's going to take to get there. It's as you. It's this process. What's the it's in it? What's the why? What's the purpose? What do you need to get there? Because once you know that, because you've survived this long, you know that you want to put the best around you. That's what you do. And it doesn't have to be the best of anything. It's whoever can help you get to where you want to be. I'm happy you can talk now. That's awesome.
Yeah, without stepping on other people's feelings and kicking them to the curb when you get that next step up. I don't like that.
Well,
That's not emotional intelligence.
No, this is the problem that I have with hold on, some technical issues. This is the problem that I have with the current state of politics. Is that I don't like the fact that people have to scream at you about how they feel. You know, it's any situation where there's like a command and control. I don't like that. It doesn't make the best out of people. Who wants to help somebody that's screaming at them? Who wants to help someone that's not respectful of their skill set in any circumstance? No one. So this presentation I'm about to do, it's just these are gonna act like notes for me. If you want the actual PowerPoint, send me an email and I'll email it to you. Or you can send me a text and I'll get it to you if you want. I only say that because I don't want you to worry about having to take notes.
Okay.
You can just write the number by a slide if you want and go forth, or either way. But today's discussion has been about the mindset. All of what I'm doing here is about developing a professional mindset. It's about I feel a responsibility to make people the best they can be around me. And that's how my echo starts. I believe that's called a professional mindset. And we're going to talk today, as you know already, about gratitude. Covey stories. We started with one of those. Got the best analysis I've got yet. The perception gap, inclusion, and emotional intelligence. At this point in the discussion, you know that. All of these things are the key to truly maximizing the power of inclusion. The celebration of differences. If we talk about diversity that way, It should create such a community, such a social fabric that there's no problem we can't solve. When you embrace the differences, when you're trying to learn about people's differences, you maximize the knowledge, you maximize your reach, your ability to create the best network, to include the most substantial people. When I say substantial, I'm not talking about the money or their wealth. I'm talking about the substance in the person, the depth. Because the deeper they are, the more substance they have, the more value they add to your life, the more enriched you're going to be because you included them. I've spoken already about the concept. Diversity is not enough. We made a mistake for decades talking about how differences, and never took the next step as a society to embrace and engage and include. Diversity initiatives have failed to foster inclusivity. You can tell that just by the state of the country. The difference is, from diversity to inclusion, a professional mindset. And self-actualization is the you knowing you. It's knowing the difference between your needs and your wants. It's knowing the difference between what you're really grateful for and what you really don't want in your life. And we'll get into what self-actualization is on another Friday. It's part of Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And it's an excellent approach to understanding the needs of people, needs of organizations. And if you don't know the needs of your people, you're not going to be able to help them reach them. If you don't know your needs, it's the same way. In your organization, if you're not sure what each department, what each job, what each task needs, how are you going to be able to make sure that they're maximizing performance? That's the goal, right? Like you don't hire people, you don't bring people in your life. They're like, listen, just be about half good. Oh, you know what? Today's Friday. Why don't you give me about 70% of the best you? Like, nobody does that. And you certainly don't want to pay for that.
Nope.
The phrase emotional intelligence is going to become more popular. It's trending now. This is the decency approach to leadership. Successful organizations now are transformational. They're change management specialists. From the leader to the team, they all share emotional intelligence. And that emotional intelligence is, like we spoke about, patience, strategy, being innovative, being grounded, being self-aware. When your leader and your teams have the same core values, the emotional intelligence becomes a unit in itself, becomes a problem-solving entity in itself. And a unit of people moving in the same direction for any goal creates some kind of inertia that changes lives. The need for alignment is huge. The more aligned you are with your needs, the more aligned you are with your core values, guess what happens? You deal with stress better. There's less anxiety. You make decisions faster and solve problems quicker. The goal is, the journey is to get to the best you. You're not going to be able to do that if you can't solve problems quickly. You're not going to be able to solve problems quickly if there's a bunch of useless stuff in your life and in your mind.
Noise.
Noise. Well, you're gonna you're gonna like a slide coming up. So emotional intelligence and inclusion. We went from diversity and inclusion to emotional intelligence and inclusion. Okay. Well, the okay in that is you're only going to want to attract the best. The best, the best, the best. The best relationships, the best partners in business, in your personal life, the best from those around you. When you're expecting the best from those around you, you immediately start to add a layer of accountability in your life. And because you can't turn back from this mindset. Now you're responsible for it. Now, because you've turned the corner, now I want a professional mindset. I didn't even know it. You're adding accountability and responsibility in your life around your needs. Bruh. See how I did that? Bruh. I did that on purpose. One, because I like goofy. But bruh. Like I'm talking to a female. Like Annette, you're a woman. Like, bruh. But it's funny.
Mhm.
And you don't feel any kind of way about it. Right? Like it's just the way we talk.
Right.
And I think I'm funny, so I try to tell stuff.
But yeah, an ex-boyfriend of mine would have taken that a different way, and he would have had a problem with it.
Yeah.
He would have been like, "Oh, why is he saying that to you? Why? Because what?" Yeah, he would have. Yeah, it's funny how people take things differently, or think you should be mad about it when you're like, "Really? Oh, no big deal. He didn't hit me."
That's an amazing thing to me because I view, I have a company called the Change Management Company. So I look at everything from the window of change. Either you embrace it or you don't. And when you find people, the haters in our lives, they a lot of times don't mean it. They're just so uncomfortable with someone else's growth that it just doesn't compute. This is a big problem with relationships after people, get married out of high school. And by the time they're 45, 50 years old, both people are on different growth paths.
True.
Then you're looking at each other like, man, when you ain't getting off the couch? Or he's looking at her like, man, she ain't getting off the couch? That's why it's important to have skill sets that add to your life.
Right. Yeah, true.
Because if you're both going after a better you, if you hire people to make your company a better company, you're sharing a goal of growth. The mindset is better, 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 better. Then the times that somebody is sitting on the couch, they're either productive in some way or are sitting on the couch on purpose, because that's okay. I struggle with that part, that it's okay to just do nothing. There are times when you can and are allowed to just do nothing. That's not what we're talking about here, right? Like we're talking about, and we all know them. Some of us have them in our families. And maybe it's not that they don't want to get off the couch. What if it's just somebody who has a job that's never going to afford them any growth? They're underemployed is what we call. Where they've got work, they just don't realize their capacity to make more, to do more, to be more. And if we were talking about that behavior in the form of a young person, maybe a 15-year-old, we'd say, oh, yeah, that's just being 15. When they get smarter, when they get more intelligence, they won't act that way. Organizations grow and develop. People grow and develop. Relationships grow and develop. They all have growing pains. They all have stages. How you nurture them, how you ensure that their needs are satisfied, is what makes the difference between any of it being able to be sustained for long term. That goes with our bodies, that goes with our minds, with our organizations, and our relationships. No difference. And that's the network. You have a network in your business, an ecosystem that gets you things, that sells you things, that handles your things, that moves your things, that buys your things. That's a network. You have a relationship, a familial network, a network with people that you can find comfort in because it's value. Because you start to bury all of this bad stuff in you, it will eat a hole in you.
Mm-hmm.
It will stop your heart. So you find people that you can talk to, that you can confide in, that you can trust, that you have a relationship with. And that's the same dynamic inside your business. 40 hours a week with people working for the same goal, you got to be able to trust.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't trust unless people are transparent. And if you're not going to communicate in a transparent way as a leader, why would people follow you? And if you're not going to try to get people to follow you as a leader, then what are you doing? We wouldn't consider you a leader. We would consider you a manager. One of my favorite pictures in that. One of the realest pictures ever. And you remember I was telling you about, wait till the slide comes up about mind noise?
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Because that's the biggest, that thing, it steals our moments.
Mm-hmm.
It's not an accident that it's called the present, right? It's a present and it's a gift. It's the now. The now is how you fight everything. Because if you're focused on just right now, on the beauty around you right now, like even if you're inside of a room, the beauty of now. Yes, it starts with being alive. I'm grateful for being alive, of course. But what past that? Even if your life isn't in the best place you want it, because your professional mindset is moving you, because your professional mindset is driving you to be better, you're never stagnant. You've always got something to calm the mind noise. That's what meditation does. That's what working out does. That's what the walks do. That's why talking to people who we're friends with, who we have bonds established with, feels so good. Because while we're doing that, it shuts down the mind noise. That's singular focus. Being purpose-driven. And what's mind noise? I mean, like, it used to terrify me. I was a massage therapist for about 15 years, and I was able to travel the planet, but working on cruise ships, a lot of hours inside a dark room, giving massages to real relaxing music, quiet in my own thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
I used to build my day in hopes to have things to think about, so I wouldn't just be empty in the. And it's funny because as I get older, I look forward to the time when it's just empty. But it's the mind noise itself that terrified me, because we have what I call the snowball effect. And this happens with every human being. We get a thought in our head, and that's the little piece that's the start of the snowball. And that thought turns into a scenario. And that scenario turns into a reaction. And that reaction turns into us reacting, all in our head. It's a snowball getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And soon enough, we can actually feel it. Oh, how are they going to say something? Oh, how are they going to do something? Oh, why didn't? This is what they're going to say when I say that. This is what they're probably doing. This is what they should be doing. This is why they're not doing. That's the snowball getting bigger. Doing nothing for our lives, but creating chaos and stifling our growth. Because when that snowball's getting bigger and you're thinking about some kind of situation somewhere, or something, not in your genius zone, not in your scope, not in your locus of control, what they call it, it's going to create chaos. Because the chaos comes when you're not aligned with your purpose. Your purpose is to find your needs. That's step one. Then once you find them, your purpose then becomes to stay aligned with them, right? Because when you're aligned with your purpose, good stuff comes. The law of attraction kicks in. You get good things. You feel good things. You have good things. Purpose keeps you grounded. What's one of the most painful things people can go through? Chaos and uncertainty. That's real. The unknown, it's real. The dark, it's the dark. What's scary about the dark? The unknown, the uncertainty. What's the scariest thing about Corona? The unknown about it.
Mm-hmm.
And taking a step back from being so grandiose, but inside of an organization, we've all worked in places where rumors get scattered and people think and they want to say, and you see something going on and management won't come communicate to you what's going on. It creates uncertainty. Uncertainty pauses out your confidence, or it keeps your confidence, but it makes you guarded. When you're guarded, it is very difficult to remain what I call holistically aware. Because when you're guarded, you're in a protective zone, looking around. Not a bad thing, and certainly at times creates a safety bubble. But to maximize your life, to really get some substance and some depth, you have to be vulnerable. It's the cost. You want greatness, you got to have some stress. You want to be enriched, you're going to have to be vulnerable. And the first step in vulnerability is trust somebody else, leaving some control, letting them take a little bit of influence. And that's a problem because it is unknown. We've lived our life in a place of comfort knowing our decision-making process, when in fact we should always be working on changing our decision-making process. More efficient, less mind noise involved, more emotional intelligence in your strategic decision-making process.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that strategic decision-making process is that next bullet point. How when you quiet the mind, you create efficiency. I practice martial arts, and when I fight, the only time I lose is when my head gets in the way. Not physically, because I have the skills to move and do what I have to, but my head. I start thinking too much. When I think, I'm no longer instinctual. And if I'm not going to rely on my instincts, my gut, my intuition, then I'm removing part of my decision-making process. When there's stuff in the way, things that aren't aligned with your focus, things that aren't aligned with your goals, people that are in the way, you lose your mind efficiency. Mind efficiency is speeding up your decision-making process. Organizations that have very fast and efficient decision-making processes are team-oriented and solve problems quicker. Guess what they also are? A lot more successful than everybody else. You're going to have, no matter what company you have, no matter what business you're in, what industry, what sector, there's going to be problems. If anything, COVID's taught us is that you better be ready for disruption. It doesn't mean that you can't enjoy your life, because preparing for disruption doesn't change anything we've talked about. You still need to focus on mindfulness. You still need to focus on your emotional intelligence, being self-aware, being more patient, what it needs, what you need to be more of those things. You still need to limit your mind noise. You still need to be more efficient with how you make decisions. Are you impulsive? What is it about the impulses that make you want to buy stuff? That's being self-aware. That's being mindful of actions. What's the echo in what you're going to do? Everything has a consequence. What is it? Is that consequence worth it? Always a consequence. Even if it's going to get you something great, the consequence is that it costs you time. That's fine. What's the cost in it? What's it going to get you? You do a cost benefit analysis in a business. You do an ROI, a return on investment in an organization. But it seems awkward to people to do it in their personal lives. I mean, what are people giving back to you in your life? What are people giving back to you in the business? You don't even get to ask those questions of either side of your life if you're not maximizing what you give. Because then you're being rude. If you're asking for more than what you're getting, you don't deserve it. That's the recipe for resentment. Nobody does their best being resentful. I mean, and one of the reasons why I started at the beginning of this discussion on the tone and the way we talk in the narrative, because the moment you do that, the moment you throw that, or you misinterpret some cultural standard, you've lost it. You're no longer going to be able to deliver your message the most efficient way possible because you've stirred up their mind. They might not even know it, but now they feel emotional. And while you want people emotionally driven to achieve a goal, you don't want them emotionally chaotic. Because if I were to ask you, what is the difference? Who do you think has emotional intelligence? The one who's chaotic and excited, or the one who's composed and excited? I mean, it's an easy question. But we would also describe both those people. One is the 12-year-old boy, or the 12-year-old girl, or 15-year-old, all excited. Yeah, I got it. And the other's the grown-up. Maybe like me, that's, oh, wow, that's fantastic. I'm more 12-year-old when I get excited. But I'm just saying, as you get more intelligence, as we grow, the best part about you grows too, whether you want to or not. You become more self-aware. You become more mindful. Maybe you're not chasing your needs. Maybe you're only chasing your wants, but you are mindful that it's important to go after something that makes you happy, that it's important, and that you're empowered to go after something that makes you happy. Because this is the big problem. People are sitting on the couch. That neither person inside the relationship realized they need to empower and motivate and inspire each other. So they forgot that they actually can get off the couch on their own. They forgot that they have their own superpowers. They never realized that having a professional mindset, being growth-minded, being benefit-minded, creates a life of gratitude. And this picture is so amazing because the dog and the guy, the girl, whatever, I don't know what stage it is. 2020, there you go.
Whatever that is.
Yeah. The dog is thinking about the sunshine and the trees, mindful of what's around him or her.
Mindful.
The person is thinking about the car and the bills and the house and the job and the tasks, a front door. Another, definitely a girl there. Somebody who's sad dude. Okay, so now that I'm looking at it, must be a sad guy thinking about music and not the right
Mindful.
socks. Thinking about it, mine is full. That's right.
Right.
That's right.
Right.
Like the mind is full.
Yeah.
And it's not,
Mm.
decisions fly through your brain. When your mind is full, they're not flying through. This guy's decision-making process has to flow through all of those things. And what happens is while it tries to get through all of those, it gets caught up a little bit. Right? A little bit of the thought gets stuck on the door. A little bit thought gets stuck on the music. A little bit of thought gets stuck on a piece of paper or the car drive. And while what might have been a magical thought, a life-changing moment of thought, is now only 20% of what it could be.
How do you nicely tell somebody else though that what they're doing is causing too much noise? My example is my mom. When I'm driving, I had to snap at her because she is noise in my ear when she thinks you should go right and I know I should go left. But she makes me think twice about something. That stop talking because you are confusing my decision making. Because I'd make the right decision if you're following me. If I'm already confused a little bit, I don't need you to think some way and I'm already thinking another way. I just need you to be quiet because you're too much noise in my ear. You're gonna make me hit something or go the wrong way because I'm trying to well, maybe she is right. Maybe I should go that way.
So let's coach mom. So you put the backseat driver right next to you. Okay.
But I did
with
coach
no
her
volume
nice
control.
I coached her nicely and I told her, she was like, well, I don't understand. I said, no, but you're not helping me.
Oh, but okay. So when we talk about, let's say she was an employee, right?
Okay.
And you were, let's say you're the manager, she's the employee, and you've got a supervisor that's got to drive her around. The supervisor comes to you and is like, listen, I love this lady. She's sweet, but she thinks she's Google Maps. And it's making me nervous. It makes me inefficient. It makes us less safe. Like there's a real cost to that. Not just that she's in your ear. Yeah.
Yes.
Although I would ask you if anybody else does. Nah, it's just pretty much annoying across the board. Anybody doing it. I mean, it's just, I can't even get around that one.
It could be your 12-year-old. It could be your husband or wife. It's just anybody,
Even Siri makes me mad. Even Matt's style of talking make me mad. Like, hold up. You don't see this light. You don't see this traffic. Okay.
Right.
So we would, knowing that the conversation starts with her not being mean, right? Like she's not, she's not trying to create chaos.
No.
So we talk about the why then, right? Why does she feel the need to do that? And of course, the conversation is definitely going to revolve around fear of something. I'm afraid. I don't want to get lost. I don't want to get in an accident. I'm just trying to help.
Right.
What is it in her that won't just let it be? She's not being mindful of the drive. She's being mindful of you. It's a lot easier.
She's trying until she finds out it's not helping me. Then
right.
It's like
so after you snapped at her, which is really amazing to me. Being the conflict resolution specialist you are, it's like the plumber's house always leaking. You snap at moms. What is? Have you driven with her since you got mad at her?
Oh yeah, the same day, same night. I mean, I just kind of like, Mom.
How was she?
Okay, she was fine. She's learning through me too. You need to get over stuff. You get mad and stay mad way too long. You like, you still mad? It's been 4 hours ago. Let's talk about it, or you need to get over it. And so she is learning to deal with it, talk about it, and then she's not mad anymore because I don't like that lingering madness.
Yeah, that's awesome that you force her out of her madness. I'm just kidding. If you don't know my sarcasm, that's great. You gave her a time frame, lady. You got 4 hours to be mad.
Yeah,
and that's it.
And that's it. But my girlfriends do that to me about stuff. They just like, okay, well, if you're upset about, you're not working anymore, you got 2 days to cry and then you go look for a job or whatever it is. So I put that on other people too. It's like, okay, well, be mad, but get over it soon because I'll be back.
I mean, but how do you feel about, I mean, 2 days after, you're not mad anymore?
No, I'm still mad. But it puts me in a different perspective
Right.
too, because I'm listening to an intelligent lady that's had issues in her life before. She's like, look, I got divorced. It happens. I had to figure out what I was going to do with my two kids.
Yeah.
So stuff happens.
Annette, what that's about isn't any particular situation. It's about when you make that choice. It doesn't matter the 2 days, the 5 days, a year, that you're making the choice to get control of it, to be mindful and self-aware. It's how you learn emotional intelligence. Okay. And your mom, one, still sees you as the 18-year-old you.
Mm-hmm.
And two, is going through her own growth stuff.
Yeah, true.
So it in a relationship where two people are growing in any circumstance, it's can be strenuous. When you have the mother-daughter component, it's even more strenuous, because while she sees you like the 18-year-old and respects your journey, there's still something inside the kids that want to show mom and dad, look, ha. And it creates not a good or a bad narrative. We want to make our parents proud, but it creates a hierarchy sometimes. And that hierarchy creates a narrative. So even though she could be giving you the right directions, it doesn't even matter. It's the fact that she's creating a little bit of chaos. It's the one thing you don't want to do is communicate to her in a way where every time she wants to help you drive,
right,
she's feeling bad, right? And you need to find a place where it's not causing you chaos.
Right. You're right.
You have that conversation with her, because it tells her, hey, listen, it's okay for me, like I know you want to help, but it's creating chaos. How do we find a way around it?
Right.
And what's amazing is you're funny, because your way to solve conflict, you want to go all She-Hulk on it. See, I was going to say Hulk, but I wouldn't have been embracing diversity. I call my wife She-Hulk because she gets mad. But yeah, conflict stop. Mad no more. No, it doesn't work like that.
Sometimes.
Yeah. And so this is why it's a growth process.
Yeah.
And being mindful, being self-aware, is being able to look, okay, I snapped. That happens. If you continue to do that without self-reflection, then I can start calling you some names.
Yeah, no.
If you snap,
got it,
but you're using it as, wait a minute, we got to figure out a way to make us more harmonious. Oh, man. Then snap becomes valuable.
I include her. I'll say it. I'll just say, okay, which way? Which way you think? Which way, mom? And then let her tell me if I need her, but I don't.
I'm going to interrupt you. What's amazing to me right now, look at you, the big, bad, strong black woman, going to walk over to mom and say, it's okay, mom. You can make me give chaos. You can give me some chaos. Just tell me where we want to go. No. No, what happened 3 minutes ago when you were going to talk to her about, hold up, I know you want to tell me to get where I'm going, but who are you? You switched out on me?
Well, timing is everything, so it didn't happen the same day.
Different story.
Later on down, I was like, okay, mom, you know what? I don't know which way to go, which way.
That's
and
right.
Then she'll tell me.
Right. So now the other side of it is that she could be right. You just might be terrible at directions and need some help.
Right.
Well, you need to figure that out too.
Right. I'm learning from her. I mean, I'm learning to be patient with her, because I still think of her as, young. My she's kind of frisky. She's kind of snappy. She's kind of sarcastic. She's kind of
sassy.
She gets on my nerves sometimes.
Let's talk about the bigger side of this. And then what about the why it's happening? Right? We talked about, this isn't really about the now, but you want to be mindful and find purpose. Maybe this isn't about her at all. Maybe this is about you right now, just working on your own patience, And only
True.
you can know through, have you been impatient with stuff? Have you been a little too eager? Have you been times when maybe didn't need to snap yet? I don't know the answers to these questions, but when I'm talking to someone and in my own life, when there's a bunch of things happening that are unusual, they're not accidental either. So the purpose in that, because you guys are literally like, no one should be talking. You have a phone that tells you where to go.
Right.
The fastest way possible. What
Right.
are you two talking about?
That's exactly right.
Okay.
That's
So,
exactly right.
so then what is it about that moment that you need to be looking at? Because you have emotional intelligence. You're trying to find out why you're self-aware. Being patient. Like, what's the Jedi move in that? Because the goal here is to be free of anxiety and be free of stress. Right? If both of you are grateful for the drive and the time together, not to say that you're not, but truly grateful and mindful of it, it doesn't matter if you get lost. So it's a couple minutes. So, and the benefit of being grateful, it straight up changes the molecular structure in your DNA. Like like the research, the research center at UCLA, they tested people and it changes the structure. So if there's something in the way of identifying the moments and being mindful that you two are just chilling and always get lost and bicker, then you can enjoy the relationship without being upset about each other's reaction. Because she don't want you snapping at her. In her head, or a younger her would have given you all kinds of it back.
Yeah.
Right?
She wanted to, but she just said, she was like, okay.
Yeah, she know, because like I learned about you in 5 minutes. Barking back at you is not how we're going to get Annette to do anything.
Oh, do I seem like that part?
This isn't a bad thing. This is, you can tell right away who has personalities that are easily pushed over and whose aren't. You could be wrong, but you could tell right away. And I would imagine your mom's raised you, and she and mom are very similar.
Right.
The only way you're going to be able to find your piece is if you can figure out what. And if you do get lost all the time, then you need to ask her. My wife, when she's driving a truck at the fire department or somebody's driving, there's always a navigator. So when she's navigating for me, if she waits 10 feet too long, turn up here. Man, you could have told, what? What? And you do this for a living? Because I got jokes. And we go back and forth, Because it's about that part of it. That's more like, haha, she'll hand me the phone, be like, you just want to do it yourself? Like, because you want a healthy relationship with your mom and the people around you. So you don't want anybody feeling any kind of way about how they react.
Right.
You just got to find a way in the middle.
My dad is my balance. He brings me back always.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. He's the calm one. Just let her be.
You're Jedi.
I've learned. I just listen, and when I don't want to listen, I just cut her off. And I was like, meaning like, okay, gotta go. But he takes a lot. I mean, I'm like, Mom said, he just, and So I get my balance really by both of them. She's the tough one. He's the calm, loving one. Bring you off the ledge. My mother will push you off.
Yeah. So will you. Conflict. You don't need to be angry anymore.
Yeah. It's like, no, just give up, dude. I have nothing for you. Just kill yourself.
Look, I'm falling. I ain't conflict no more. Thank you.
Exactly.
And you turn around and you're like, yep. Okay.
Finish that one. No.
So the trick in this, and this might, this thing with your mom might be all just an exercise for you. Like that moment might be nothing more than a way for you to figure out how to communicate with someone who's just like you, because you're going to want people like you in your business, right? Like we're talking about mindful or grateful leaders here, right? Leaders are mindful. Can you see that? Right? When you're a mindful leader, you're aware of the values and the needs of people and their skill sets and their abilities.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when my wife or I, when we step out of our skill sets, we're quick to let each other know. We
What do you
have a
mean?
relationship where we talk smack
Oh.
because you want relationships that have a healthy competition, that vibe back and forth, that can absorb each other's bad days and good days. In the workforce, with your family, and in your personal relationships, right? Because it's all about that. None of us are having great days all the time.
Mm-mm.
You know, and you're not necessarily seeking out abilities in mom and dad, but you are in a way, right?
Yeah.
Like you want your mom's advice to snap you straight, you want your dad's advice to ground you.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Your self-awareness and your emotional intelligence got you to a place where you can realize that.
Mm-hmm.
The frustration then comes as a leader when people haven't made it to that point. What do you do with their behavior at work? So the problem with most leaders at work, it's called a perception gap. Look, I just moved that. Now here it is again.
Mm-hmm.
And perception gap is that most leaders, most people think they're 100% engaged, and they're not even close. We've all worked in that atmosphere. The problem is that when people aren't engaged, people aren't included, they're not performing at their maximum potential. And if they're not performing at their maximum potential, you're leaving profits on the table. Like we talked about at the beginning, you don't want people being 70% of their best selves around you. You definitely aren't paying people to work at 70 cents on the dollar.
Right.
So as a leader, you want to make sure that there's things around that include everyone. And that might be just including them in the decision-making process. If you're going to meet needs, you have to ask, what do you need? And when you ask the question, what do you need, you immediately create an exchange of, hey, I care about what you need. Those needs are going to make your life easier, better, more efficient. They're still going to make me some more money. But that's the nature of the beast.
Mm-hmm.
And because I'm asking and communicating that I care, and now we've got some trust. Now we got a shared vision. Now that employee is going to work harder. And I'm going to reward that. But that's for our HR talk. And the data. Oh my, I can't find a place for this screen today. Okay. I'm not going to get into the data too deep. I only put it up here to validate the position. Getting the Equal 2020, this report shows that most managers think they're 94% engaged. When in reality, it's only about 36%. Some organizations will be more, some organizations will be less, whatever. The point here is that if you're not going to be inclusive, you're not maximizing potential. And if you don't have a focus to maximize your own potential and those people around you, then what are you doing? Really, what's your purpose? And to validate this position a little bit further, this wasn't just a report of 15 people. It wasn't a Delphi study where there's 35 people making some choices on a survey. This is 30,000 professionals, 28 countries, over 1,000 professionals. Okay? The difference between the 1,000 professionals and the 30,000 professionals is those 1,000 professionals there, specifically across different industries. Some of those industries have a huge workforce, and they surveyed a lot of them. That's important because if I ask 30,000 people in one company, it's going to give me data that might not mean the same thing across the industry. You just might be a bad leader. But when we're talking about several sectors, several industries, now you realize that this is a trend. But you don't even need the data, because it's not hard to realize that people believe they're totally inclusive. There's going to be a percentage that just don't get it, right? You're never going to have 100% accuracy on who you hire and bring into your life, ever. So, with that said, Annette, I don't know if you know this or not, but you get a 15-minute career coaching session. I don't know that you really need it because you get a 2-hour career coaching session.
Yes, I do.
On Fridays. If there's anything here that I would leave you with today, it's that you look at gratitude in the form of action. So, for instance, people who get a lot of money but spend a lot of money right away aren't grateful for the process of getting the money. If you're not grateful for the moment, it's going to be impossible to stay mindful. Now, let's get into that last story. See what your assessment is on this one.
Okay.
Ready? All right. So, picture New York City on a Friday afternoon, probably pre-pandemic now because I don't know what the subways are like. On a subway, busy, crowded.
Mm-hmm.
And a guy gets on the train with 5 of his kids. And I'm not a young man, but you remember Day-Day's kids? Yes, you do. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Right away, I know you know. It's funny because first you're like, how does he know about that? Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, no, you're pretty hip, you know.
All right. So this guy gets on the train with Day-Day's kids, and he sits down, puts his hand in his head, and these kids are running wild, knocking stuff out of people's hands, snatching purses, kicking, fighting each other. One pooped in a diaper, and it's New York City. You know, it's not going to take long for New Yorkers to have something to say about this cat not paying attention to his 5 kids running everywhere around. And the bickering starts, and somebody starts running them out. Somebody else says some. And the guy looks up and says, their mom just died. I don't know how to tell them. The reason I set the story up, like I did at the beginning, the first one, is to get a mindset where we can all relate to that. But those kids needed attention. He couldn't give that to them. Knowing what he was going through, do you let the kids run wild? I think your answer would probably be hell no. But
Exactly.
in most cases, people would be, if not willing to let that happen, more patient, or using that patience to communicate differently. Because you're less likely to rage at the cashier. You're less likely to rage at the dude. You're less likely to rage at the guy who just lost his wife and has to raise 5 kids by himself now, knowing that they went through something.
Mm-hmm.
The mindfulness gives you a moment of sanity. Because if he looks up and he's like, oh, yeah, I don't care, well, then you get to root him.
Mm-hmm.
Then Annette the She-Hulk is the conflict. I stop.
No, I immediately would want to help the guy. I mean, I immediately would probably like, okay, come here, kids, let's talk. Not to tell them, but to, calm them down and say, come on, let's hug our dad. Oh, I don't know, whatever.
Now, when you heard the story, were you thinking about it?
No, I actually had heard the story.
You did?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I had. So I knew it and understood it. And when I first heard it, the first time I heard it, I did feel bad. I was like, oh man, because I was thinking, God, why is he letting them run around? And it was on a video, so I watched it. And so I was thinking, when I, first heard it, I was like, oh man, that's terrible. And my first thought would be, okay, let's help him out.
Yeah.
How can I help you?
Interesting. And you, huh? Now I got to find that video.
Well, yeah, I did. I saw it on a video or on I don't know, maybe it's something at work, but yeah. So I get it totally. So, and with that, you never know what somebody's going through.
Right.
That's why you should always be nice and always, hey, are you okay? Instead of, what's your problem?
Right.
Then they say, oh, you know what? My dog just died or whatever. That's
Right. Because everybody's
mindfulness.
carrying something. Like nobody
Yeah.
gets.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
But you don't get to get
you
away
have to
with just
be.
being mean and treating people like crap because you had a bad day.
That's right. There she is.
Yeah. But people want to say, you don't understand. I just lost my dog. Okay, well, I lost mine yesterday. I didn't go beat up the neighborhood because I lost my dog.
Right.
You're hashing, screaming at everybody and they don't know you lost your dog. Then okay, so let me tell you this. In my group of girls that talk all the time, one of them said, nobody said, it was somebody's birthday and we all said happy birthday. And then she came in and she said, nobody said happy birthday to me. And we were like, we all said happy birthday to you. So somebody went back and checked. And as we were talking, she was saying, well, you didn't say happy birthday to me, blah, 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 blah. And so I said, well, did you tell us? Did you tell us it was your birthday? Because I let you know in a week that my birthday's coming up. So I don't have an anxiety that you didn't tell me happy birthday. If you just don't because you don't remember, okay, I'm okay with that. But if I've been telling you for a week my birthday's coming up and you don't call me and you my best friend or you
I've
my
got a
friend,
problem.
I have a problem with that.
Right.
And I'm gonna tell you, I've been telling you for a week, but as it turned out, we did wish her happy birthday. She just forgot. So,
Huh.
but I'm just saying that to say,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's interesting, like the mindfulness, like she probably felt bad about that.
Yes, that she forgot.
And never thought for a second, her brain never geared over to just look at your phone.
Yes. Look back.
It's the psyche's amazing. The snowball started and it got away from her. By the time it was done, it was sitting in her house just going, yeah, they don't love you. They didn't wish you a happy birthday. See? And I like talking to you. It's awesome.
Good.
I'm glad we got the mic working this time.
Yes, me too. Do you watch Undoing, the movie?
What is it?
Undoing with Nicole Kidman and Hugh Grant?
No.
Okay, it's a good movie. Your wife probably.
No, because I just got done watching I splurged on Power with my son this week.
Ah, gotcha. Anyway, I was just saying that to say that we had a Zoom the other day talking about the movie, and it's really interesting to see different people's intake on something. They saw this, and I'm like, well, did you see it when she saw that on the screen and blah blah blah? And they were like, no, I didn't see that. Or the school is supposed to be a diversified school, and when they scan the audience, there's like no Black people in there. And I was like, okay, how's that diversified? And the lady was like, you know what? I got to go back and look at that. I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't want to take up that time. It's got a minute, but
no, I don't mind running a little longer. But that's interesting. And your friend, she's Black?
Yeah, they're all Black girls.
So
and
it's amazing that you're both are looking at the same thing, and she didn't notice. And it's wonderful that color wasn't an issue to her while watching that. She got immersed and just, that's the wonder in it. I wonder if you ruined the movie for her.
Well, I don't know, because these girls are smart girls. One works for a lawyer, one works for the city. They do stuff. So when they said we're gonna have a Zoom, I watched all three back to back to back, and I took notes because I didn't want to be the one that don't know what to talk about. So I ended up leading the class because the girl who wanted to do it didn't have any notes. I said, well, I got notes. So I just started talking, and they were like, oh, we didn't even think about that part as far as when I said no Black people. That wasn't diversified at all. And then that led to a whole nother conversation.
Huh. That's awesome.
Interesting. You're teaching.
I don't even know if I want to write the name of the movie down, because I show this to my wife. It's going to cost me a couple hours. And
well, you watch it by yourself. watch it, on Zoom or something. I don't know. On
Stop. You see my
HBO.
face?
Yeah, you're like, like not. But your this class, I mean, all of them relate to everyday life for me. I mean, it makes me think about stuff like that with my mom. It's like that was noise. I didn't want her to tell me because you confused me. But I didn't tell her that in the beginning. I just said, Mom. And then later I said, I'm sorry. I said, I didn't mean it that way. I'm just like, you confused me. You got too much going on in my head. I'm trying to think at last minute, quick decision. And I got you going, bing. And I'm like, no, wait. So she said, okay, I didn't get that. So it's all relevant.
Yeah. What are you doing this weekend? Anything exciting?
No, I have no plans this weekend.
Why don't you make
I'm
some?
spontaneous sometimes. But, hey, you want to go to Vegas? Yep, let's go.
All right. I'll see you Friday.
Yes, I do have your email address, don't I? Can you give it to me right quick?
Yeah. So.
Did you hear me? Can I have your email address again?
Yeah. So.
You sending it to me?
It's a long one. Here, let me do this.
If you send it in chat, I'll screenshot it. I thought I did. Did the storm affect you?
Yeah. We excuse me.
Oh, the hurricane.
My wife for sure, because the fire trucks in her station was leaking, and my neighborhood got flooded out. I've never had that before.
Oh no. Okay. Let me take that.
And
okay. Perfect. Okay, got it. Okay, thank you.
I put another one up there. Oh, there's 2 periods in that one.
Okay.
Yeah, there's only supposed to be 1, but yeah, reach out to me whenever you want. Send me the email. I check them daily.
Okay.
Yeah, whenever you have a question.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll do this too.
I'm just taking this all in. I don't have a direction yet. Totally.
Yeah. So as a couple more of these classes, and you're going to begin to hear about some additional programs and some opportunities for you to narrow your work focus down. Because the goal here is for you to, right, like we're trying to figure out what your next step is.
Yes.
And the appointment with the career coach and, outside of this will be helping you with that.
Abdi actually had tried, he asked me or referred me to another guy to take. It started November the 9th, but I really wasn't ready. It was a project management something program.
Maybe with Dr. Wood?
I don't think that was his name. I think it was Awad or Awai or something. Okay. But I didn't do it because I'm not ready yet to start a program and get all. I'm learning through you, and I want to take the classes, and I'm taking notes, and then when yours is ready, then I'll decide what I'm gonna do from there. But the pandemic, I'm not ready to go search for a job. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I would say you're not ready either. You don't know what you want.
No, I don't. I really don't. I know what I don't want. No.
Let's start.
That's for sure.
All right, good deal. Have a good weekend. You have my contact information.
Yes.
Reach out anyways, just so I can have your number. We can email me. We'll start figuring this out. There's no reason to you want to know when you're ready. You want to be able to make the decision to start looking.
Yes.
You don't want to like, oh man, I really want something, but I don't know what I want.
Right.
We start that soon. So I'll do this all night tonight. Have a good weekend. I'll see you next week.
Too.
And thanks for stopping by today. I appreciate it.
No problem. I was counting on it.
I love it.
Bye. Bye.